Patrick Lencioni talks about the 3 qualities of any person you want on your team and 3 qualities you need to cultivate in yourself. Hungry, humble, smart. And in those 3 qualities, empathy, I would say, falls in the humility category. And so it's something that inherited in some ways, like again, we've established some people are naturally better at this, but it is absolutely something you can grow in and that you need to look for when you're hiring for your team. And just how do we cultivate that in ourselves? First starts with reflection, obviously, but it's something you can get better at. That's the good news.
Let's talk about empathy in leadership, whether you're leading a company, a team of any size. How critical it is, first of all, how it's a blind spot for so many, and ways you can kind of move towards being a more empathetic leader. And I don't come from the standpoint of saying I am an expert in empathy, but it's a deliberate and conscious way of conducting myself that I think about daily. And it's an area that I'm willing to say, hey, this is important and I want to keep improving on. Because I've gone through that journey a little bit, I think we want to talk about it. And I think, first of all, what it is, empathetic leadership. From my standpoint, you can share your thoughts, but like it is remembering that we are all humans. And that sounds kind of obvious, but like everyone's coming to work, everyone's showing up with their own background. You can call it baggage, you could call it thoughts, biases, childcare challenges. Someone has cancer in the family, aging parents, just things, right?
A backstory.
Yes. And just remembering that people, you get in a meeting, you show up to a meeting or you get on Zoom and 8 people, boom, boom, everyone shows up and you just kind of see faces and you probably think, how do I navigate this to get what I need out of this meeting? And there's to-dos and I want to make sure, Marcy helps me with that to-do and David helps me with that to-do. And it's just pausing for a second and going, everyone here, first of all, is a human. If I can remember that, what does that mean? How's that going to help the situation, right?
Viewing people as a human being instead of a human doing. So rather than looking at this person, whoever it is, across from you is what can they do for me?
Right.
It's considering who are they? Where are they coming from? And then how can I inspire them to do the thing that I need to do to get done, right? If it's a task or a big project or something. Taking that lens, it's like adding a couple steps. And that's why I think we skip over it because life is fast. We have a lot of work to get done. We've got a task in front of us that does need to get done. But what we're suggesting today is adding a couple steps to your approach in dealing with people and asking those questions. What might I be missing? What's the backstory here? Where are they coming from? Those 3 questions, it does help you view that person as a human being instead of a human doing. And I think it's important to reflect on the moments in our career, in your career, when you were left with the feeling of someone who viewed you as a human doing instead of a human being.
Yeah, and that's where there's a blind spot with a lot of leaders, honestly. And we've all experienced it. I've worked for some people like that. I've worked with clients like that, and it's not inspiring. Yeah. It doesn't feel safe in terms of being able to bring your true self or be able to bring your true thinking or innovate or experiment or put things out there. It doesn't feel safe. So therefore, it's not leading to the best work. And
with the goal being to increase psychological safety on our teams and with our clients. In those interactions, there's a lot more joy and freedom in a relationship where there's shared safety. And so when you're considering how do I grow a team, how do I improve client relationships, that's why this is important. Right. Leading with empathy is important because it increases the psychological safety in your interactions with the people around you.
A few things we want to say on it. One is it's not weakness. I mean, empathy does not equal weakness. It doesn't mean you're soft. If you do truly care about people, you're actually going to be quite direct and come from a place of caring and be candid when you need to be as well. So take that off the table because I think that that's a misperception, right?
Absolutely. And Patrick Lencioni talks about the 3 qualities of any person you want on your team and 3 qualities you need to cultivate in yourself. Hungry, humble, smart. And in those 3 qualities, empathy, I would say, falls in the humility category. And so it's something that inherited in some ways, like again, we've established some people are naturally better at this, but it is absolutely something you can grow in and that you need to look for when you're hiring for your team. And just how do we cultivate that in ourselves? First starts with reflection, obviously. But it's something you can get better at. That's the good news.
That is the good news. But ultimately, it's not solely about making people feel good. It's about, you do that, you create emotional safety. It leads to increased productivity. It leads to better outcomes.
Right. Absolutely. And in communication, asking yourself, how do I want this person to feel after they've interacted with me or received this message I'm sending? And what do I want them to do? And leading with empathy starts with the end in mind. And you consider how you want to leave that person feeling before you even enter the conversation is another way to look at it, is going ahead and deciding kind of that whisper brand ahead of time and approaching it in a way that you've done your part to make them feel human. One of the questions I was curious about is, when did you in your leadership journey have that light bulb moment come on where you realized this was an important quality to cultivate in yourself?
It came with confidence over time. Actually, confidence in myself, which is interesting because I think maybe early on it was like task driven. We got to get stuff done. There's fear if we don't, things aren't going to go well, right? And thinking that was the way you had to do it. And confidence in myself, in my people, in knowing that that's not the right way to do it at all. In fact, it's just invest in them, in their journey, and put people first. And that work's going to not just get done, it's going to be brilliant. And so I think it's trial and error, but over time it was confidence.
How interesting. No, that actually makes a lot of sense, because when there's insecurity in yourself as a leader, I feel like we default to
it's nervousness, right?
More
fear.
of
It's fear. Yeah.
It's like when you're secure, you're able to engage people in a secure, confident, open way. And that's why this is the work, because that takes work in all of us to just continually grow and develop ourselves so that we can engage people with openness and confidence and care. And so that's actually such an interesting answer.
It took confidence in myself to get to be that kind of person, I think, or lead in that style.
Absolutely. Because when I reflect on experiences that I've had where there was a lack of empathy in, maybe my boss's interactions with me, and I would have wished that there would have been more. It was often, upon reflection, that insecurity in that person's leadership, or immaturity. Maybe they hadn't developed in some ways yet along their leadership journey to figure out, if you would have actually just engaged me in this way, you would have gotten what you wanted. And my work would have been better. I would have felt safe enough to flourish. And that's what's cool when you're on a team. When you see humans flourishing, if you dig down and look in what's the culture and what are those ingredients that are causing this team to flourish, this is one of those qualities. They feel psychologically safe enough to show up authentically, to bring their best work. This isn't just ethereal in the way that we're talking about team growth or leadership growth. It is tied to business results. And your bottom line is affected when you can figure out the ingredients that the humans on your team need to flourish, like a garden analogy. Your results will show. No matter what size team you have, we're all humans. And that's what this whole topic is about, is really finding ways to lead that bring inspiration and that cause people to do their best work so that you can impact your bottom line.
Right. Exactly.